fighting a war that is actually destroying everybody should become a political issue. This COVID-19 of a virus is actually a deadly and a dangerous virus that is not selecting who it is killing. It goes across the board. I don't know if you are a politician in which direction. It doesn't care. It doesn't look at you. It doesn't even try to measure the weight you carry. It doesn't look at your political stance or ideologies. All that doesn't count. What counts is that it wants to take your life. And so I believe that if we are supposed to fight it, there should be no politicizing over this particular issue. We should target it together and fight it. I think this is the best time when politicians should come together with the government working together to see how we can fight this particular battle and win together. Look at it the other day. World Health Organization came and was, instead to give, let's say, ambulances that could be used in transporting the sick, they were handing Prados. I don't know if Prados now are used for fighting diseases or this virus. Maybe that should be the new cure that the World Health Organization introduced to Cameroon, Prados. I think that's a means to corrupt Cameroonians the more. And in the midst of a crisis, we shouldn't be doing things like that. And it doesn't mean that the government can't take those Prados and also sell them to get what we need. We shouldn't be crying that we don't have money when the World Health Organization brought such things. Auction them and get money so that we pump it into fighting the virus. Don't keep the cars. But from what I discovered is that the interest of the government is not the citizens of Cameroon. The interest is boosting the economy. I believe that the economy of a country can collapse, but when the people are not, then that economy is useless. But when the people are actually strong, they can build any economy they want, the strongest of all.
Mangavena shows our fourth question. We are asking whether the silence of the African Union towards African-based COVID-19 cure acceptable. The World Health Organization, first of all, has said is invalid, and now the African Union is silenced towards this.
Yes,
What
Vanessa,
our African countries
Vanessa,
do,
the silence of the African Union, I said yes, that it is acceptable. Acceptable from the point from which they function. When we talk of the African Union, what is African about the African Union, Vanessa? We have a union. If that union was meant for the well-being of Africans, we would have had the African Union in so many fronts. But the African Union has been silenced. So this is just part of their functionality. So that's why we just accept them, because we don't expect anything from them. They are just, Vanessa, we are talking about the African Union just being a toothless bulldog. And what is very angry and what is very annoying in this situation is this bulldog does not even bark. Because if it had to bark, we would have been talking of an African, talking of discovering a vaccine, a cure for a virus that no one has it in the whole world.
Two countries.
And the World Health Organization is making everything to silence it. And then there is a union that says stands for Africans and does not even talk. And then what is it for? It is not for Africans. It is just to go there, clap what France will say, just to go there, clap what America would say, not defending Africa. I think there are stooges, French stooges, American stooges, European stooges. In fact, they are not Africans. They have nothing to contribute for Africa. So, because from their mode of functionality, we can't just simply say that is their being, to be as they are. So it's just acceptable because we don't expect more from them. In the other issues, what did they say about AIDS? What did they say about Ebola? Cameroonians, the whole African knew that these viruses came in from foreign countries, from out of Africa. Well, African Union said nothing. So we should not expect anything from them. So from my own point of view, it is just their way of being, that they don't say anything. So we just accept them for the way they are.
The first question we asked whether should the academic year, this 2019-2020 academic year, be cancelled, and Mr. Weber said no, it should not be cancelled. Mr. Weber, given that the children, the students, all of them are already home for a very long period of time, and school is set to begin on the 1st of June, is there not enough reason for the school year to be cancelled? You said no. Why?
we do simple mathematics, we discover that the kids have been at home since the 18th of March. 18th of March to the end of March gives us 2 weeks. Those 2 weeks equal to the 2 weeks of the Easter holidays. When you take April and May, it is virtually equal to the third term holidays. And so, as the state declared there was conditional, that the 1st of June depends on the evolution. If it is positive, that by that time everything is under control, I think it is possible to finish with the third term, which is usually 11 weeks. And the 11 weeks could finish, and the kids could still be having 2 more weeks to rest before the kickoff on our academic year. We could start even at the end of September, and the next academic year will move on without any problem. So I believe that it is possible that if the state that has declared puts in what is necessary to realize their dream come the 1st of June, everything will be possible.
We all know how the international community has been trying to mediate to solve the crisis in these regions between the government and the separatist fighters. We all know how they have been coming out condemning the atrocities taking place in this region and mounting pressure on the government to see into it that the crisis comes to an end. But yet, you think that they are responsible in fueling the crisis and aggravating the crisis?
I'm convinced the international community is fueling the crisis rather than making efforts to solve it. You'll bear with me if there is a fire outbreak and I stand and acknowledge the fact that there is a fire burning and no efforts are made to quench the fire. It would have been a kind of letting it happen. And if I let it happen when I could do something, the responsibility is in my hands. And when you look at Article 40 of the UN Charter, it spells out clearly how conflict resolution is supposed to take place. And after the Cold War, it was a responsibility of the UN. They took it upon themselves to ensure international justice and security by stepping in timely to secure loss of human life. Yes. And I would put 2 things straight. Delay is injustice. Silence is complicity. I'm nerved when I begin to get statements from state personnel like the issue of Northwest and Southwest is an internal affair that can be handled internally by Cameroon, or time heals all wounds, right? Or the state machinery is slow but steady. Those statements are aching. And why I say silence is complicity is because there's a legal maxim which says justice long delayed is justice denied. The international community is delaying the justice process, and by so doing, they are denying the justice that Cameroonians deserve. The blame is totally on them, I would say that. Okay. Because if those on ground are able to perpetrate the acts that they're perpetrating, is because the international community is in compliance with them.
We asked whether the reconstruction plan of the Northwest and the Southwest regions is the project is serious, and Mrs. Stella, you said the project is not serious. Yesterday, we all know that the fact-finding mission and awareness and a sensitization team or campaign went to Bamenda to educate the population, to talk to them on how the reconstruction plan is going to take place. And you think that it's not serious, given that they're already on the ground for works to begin?
I would start by saying that, Vanessa, when you hear the term reconstruction, it carries a lot of positivity when you just hear the term. But hold on. Now you're asking yourself, what have been destroyed? Who are the victims? what are they reconstructing, or who are they reconstructing? That's why I think that we can't start climbing a ladder from the last rung. You definitely start climbing a ladder from the bottom rung. Reconstruction, when they talk about reconstruction, going to reconstruct the northwest and the southwest, we are looking at what are they really reconstructing, Vanessa? That's my big question. What are they reconstructing? Because you realize that the people, those things existed. The people were still not satisfied. The people were still angry at something. They destroyed them. You haven't solved their problem. You haven't given them what they want. You haven't heard their plight or their cry. But yet you're going to reconstruct. So I really don't know if I am understanding the term reconstruction like every other Cameroonian, or maybe they have another definition of reconstruction.
All right. So that makes you think that the project is not serious. But don't you think that all the houses that were burned, those locals living in their bushes, this will permit them to come back and live
Vanessa,
a normal life like they used to?
I will tell you that it's just like looking at somebody with HIV. You understand? If somebody has HIV because the person had been living a wayward life, you heal the person of HIV, the person goes back to a wayward life. The person definitely will still contract the same HIV through the same means. But if you heal this person and you help the person, you guide the person and enable the person to come out or understand that you contracted this because of this. So helping you out of this will make you not go back to contract this same HIV. I think it is the same. I'm trying to relate it to the scenario. People had complaints. They even talked about the, how do we call it, the national dialogue, if I remember very well.
The major national dialogue, which was a whole show. Because after all of that, we've not had any solution. What have you done to help the people? What have you done that the people didn't want? Even talking about, they said, what was that again?
Special status.
Special status. But we don't feel the special status. We don't know about it. How does it exist? Is it only on paper or what? Now you're talking about reconstruction. What led to the destruction before now you're reconstructing? Have you tried to solve the problem that led to the destruction? Because constructing doesn't make sense. If you construct and the people are not happy, they will still destroy. But if you construct, making the people happy, meeting to their other needs that they have laid before you, you understand? I think that then they would appreciate the reconstruction. They would like what you're doing. They would join you even in the reconstruction. But because like yesterday in the Northwest province, Northwest region, we heard that it was ghost town. People weren't going out, and maybe even today, I don't know. Why? There you just see that the people have a grudge. They are not happy. They are not sincerely happy about what the term reconstruction, I'll just say in quotes, because it's just a drama to me. It's just a drama.
All right, given that the awareness and sensitization campaign is currently ongoing and it will go on for 2 weeks, don't you think that is a way of preparing the people psychologically, first of all, before going to the physical aspect of reconstruction?
Preparing people is not by force. Preparing people is a dialogue. It's a dialogue. And the first sign already tells you that the people are not happy. Even after you have held the national dialogue, what are you doing? There are still killings every day. There are still casualties, whether from the military or from the civilians or from the victims or the perpetrators or whatever. I don't know which term to use, but I think that a life is what's important, whether from the military or from the civilian, and even from the, how they call it, Amber boys, the separatists, something like that. Yes, they should value life.
They should value life. The parents have the right to decide on what their children should become in the future. Maya, parents do not have the right.
Yes, I said categorically parents do not have the right to decide. It is a word actually, deciding, that made me to say no to that. But parents have the right to guide their children to become what they have to become in the future. So as a coach, as a parent is the first coach of a child, even before the child is born. So your duty is to guide that child through the right path, so that the child should be able to achieve what the child wants to achieve without you being so decisive on what the child has to be, what the child has to do, or what the child has not to do. So parents should be able to be good guardians and not detectors. Let me put it that way. So when you guide a child through, even the Bible tells you that you should train up a child in a way that when the child grows, he or she will not depart from the teachings. If you instill good morals in a child, I think the child will be on the right path. So a parent is supposed to be a good guidance, a good mentor, but not a detector.
All right. So what of these parents? Because most of them, or most at times, they don't think that because I am a doctor, I would like my child to become a doctor in the future, and so they are trying to groom that child towards that path. Is it the best? Because they might also want to guide the child towards the profession in which they found themselves in, or maybe because I am a minister, I think that I should be training my child towards that part of being a leader.
Actually, you can groom up a child if you are fortunate enough that a child falls into what you are grooming the child to do. Then it's just luck for you. But obviously, every human being has a hidden gift within, a God-given gift that is within, that even if you are a minister and you want your child to become a minister in the future, there's a day that that child will obviously want to pursue his own dreams. So if you can groom up a child maybe to become a lawyer, I've heard parents say, I want this child to be a lawyer. That can only come in when at home you should be vigilant enough to see what your child is capable of doing, so that you orientate that child properly. There are children in the house that are good at touching electronics. There are children in the house that when maybe your television is bad, you see them struggling to go and fix it. There are children that, like the children, when they're playing at home, you see some of your children, they just want to be playing the doctor part. And growing up, they want to become that. Your duty as a parent is to guide, not imposing that since you're a doctor, your child has to be a doctor. I've seen children where they go to school and have master's degree, doctorate degrees, and come and they hand it over to their parents. This is what you wanted me to do. Now can I pursue my own dreams? It doesn't cost them anything to achieve what you want them to achieve and go further to pursue their own dreams. And you do not impose things on a child. If not, they will just become rebels. So just guide that child through. If a child has an orientation of doing something that you think that he or she will be best at, talk with the child. I see that you like this thing. Is that what you want to do in the future? You are a guide, but not a dictator. I'm emphasizing that.
We're talking about the presidential decree to release some prisoners, that whether it would decongest overcrowded prisons in Cameroon. And you said no, that it cannot. What is your point?
Actually, it's not as if I'm not appreciating what the president has done.
Actually,
I really do appreciate it. Was a laudable effort, but the extent to which it was done actually cannot decongest the prisons in Cameroon.
Go ahead.
Yes, because we were expecting him to give to grant presidential pardon to prisoners,
which he did.
He just gave a remission and commutation, reducing the terms of prisoners and so on. We wanted something that will release people from prison so that they can get out of the risk of being contaminated with the coronavirus. If he reduces the term of prisoners and they still remain there during this dangerous period, he has not done anything actually. That to me, that is nothing. And then I was thinking that he would also have reduced the prisoners from the prison, so that at least the money that they are taking out to feed and to keep the prisoners there could have been used now to fight the coronavirus instead of keeping these people there. Because the government is feeding them. It's huge money to feed those people there every day. But I know that in Cameroon we have at least at the minimum of 25,000 prisoners in the whole of the country, nationwide. So just imagine the feeding of 25,000 people per day, every day. This money can be used to maybe use a part of it or used to fight the coronavirus.
Well, when I look at the gesture of Mr. President of the Republic, Paul Biya, when I got that, I congratulated that gesture. for him using the Article 8 of our penal code to use his power as clemency to release some prisoners. It does not play a part to reduce the population in prison cells. Why? What is the cause of our prison to be always congested? I think the recent thing is the current crisis that are going on in Northwest and Southwest, and it is still going on. Releasing some when they are still arresting plays no part. And the majority of the people, they say they have granted them clemency. They are people that have been arrested around the Marché Central, Yaoundé, children that have been disturbing here with thieves. So I want to think that releasing those people they have prescribed that they were not in line with threatening the peace of the country plays nothing as a gesture to see that peace come back. Coronavirus is just one thing that have come, but we always have an everlasting threat. That is the threat of thieves and the threat of Northwest and Southwest crisis that have been constantly arresting and putting. As we talk, they have not yet released, but we cannot count the number of persons that were arrested yesterday and even today in Northwest and Southwest. So I don't really believe that the President of the Republic have done something. Rather, he is just proving, like my colleague said, that he is still alive.
Was Cameroon prepared for the unitary state before 1972? Mr. Wiba, you said no. In your first point, you came out with the word "we are diversified" in a negative term, and it just comes to tell us you wanted to talk about the Anglophone crisis. I said, where to come in that, and it's just part of a way to show us that we were not prepared for the 1972 plebiscite.
Exactly,
the
Vanessa.
Referendum, better still.
Exactly, Vanessa. The ill-preparedness was not only during the referendum. As I said earlier, the ill-preparedness started from the Fumban Conference. That is the origin of all disunity in Cameroon. If the parties went to the Fumban Constitutional Conference with one vision, we would have been talking of useful unity in our country. But since they went, one, teleguided by France, whose interest till today is known, that France has rendered Cameroon to a mere farm from where they harvest, and they care less about those who take care of the farm. So you find that ill-preparedness started from 1961, as I said earlier, and it moves up in 1972. We cannot say that Cameroon were prepared because it was a one-man show. It is written down in history that they are celebrating Ahijo's success. It is Ahijo. It's a one-man show. Ahijo's success in wiping out the federal system of government and putting in a unitary system of government. So, and in that case, we find that we are instead celebrating a person is not a victory for the country. And so we discovered that when they were going in for the referendum, it was France who programmed it, used Ahijo, and Ahijo organized the referendum. Questions that are asked about the referendum are very clear. If historically we accept that after the independence of La République of Cameroon on the 1st of January 1960, the Federal Republic of, or the Southern Cameroon is coming in 1961 on the 1st of October. That the two come in, and that the aim was to remain together as per Article 47 of the Fumban Conference Constitution, which is violated. That is where they said nobody should tamper with it, and that in 1972, Ahijo tampers with it without any qualms. He does it deliberately. It is just something that he cooked with the help of France, and which he realized with the help of some Cameroonians, some out of naivety, some out of fear of repression. They had to give in. And so we find that the Cameroon could not be defined as having been prepared. We can say that Ahijo was prepared with France to realize what was originally cooked up. And so they were going systematically from one stage to the other. We find that 66, he brings the one-party system. By 72, he puts in place, in May, the referendum. By the 2nd of June, he divides Southern Cameroon into two provinces. In fact, the thing is systematic.
It's systematic.
And so he has an agenda. He had an agenda that he was forced to realize. And so it is he alone who was prepared, but not Cameroonians. And so Cameroon cannot be defined as having been prepared for a unitary state, because when you take, for example, the southern Cameroonians, they enjoyed a federal system where they lived inside for long. And they could not be envying a totally centralized system. And they could not be prepared for it. And so the preparedness for the so-called unity state, to me, was a one-man show in Cameroon.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming. It has been a pleasure having you and sharing a lot of views concerning the unitary state of Cameroon. Ladies and gentlemen, hope that you are informed and educated back at home. Stay tuned to DBS Television as programs continue. Until we meet again, do take care and have a beautiful commemoration of the 48th edition of the National Day in Cameroon. Bye-bye.
Coronavirus is not an imagination or an invention. It is a real threat that spares no one. We are already